Hare Krishna friends. Now, today we will discuss on Azure Private DNS Zone. So, Azure Private DNS Zones are available to internal resources only. They cannot be used or not available to resources on the internet. It is global in scope, so you can access them from any region, any subscription, any VNet, and any subnet. So, let's go to Azure portal and see how to create the private DNS zone. So for this, we just simply search private DNS zone and create option. You will select the subscription and resource group in which you want to. For example, I am creating in Canada Central. You will put the name of private DNS zone, like I am typing it azuretest.com. Now review and create. So I have created two private DNS zone here. One is in East US region and second one is Canada Central region. And I have two VNets. One is in East US and second one is South Central US region. So you know how to create the private DNS zone. Now, private DNS zone can be linked to virtual networks via two ways. One is registration, second one is resolution. Let's suppose I have two private DNS zone and one virtual network. Okay, so I am mentioning the name is private DNS zone 1 and second one is private DNS zone 2. Okay, and this is the VNet. I didn't mention the region or subscription because private DNS zone is global in scope. So any of the subscription, any of the VNet which is in any of the region or subscription can be linked to this private DNS zone. Okay, so if I am going to link this VNet to this private DNS zone 1 and I am going to register this VNet. So the concept tells us this we can link to one private DNS zone for registration for the VNet. Like this VNet is going to register for private DNS zone 1. If I am going to register this VNet to another private DNS zone, it will not possible. We can register only to one private DNS zone. If I am going to link another private DNS zone, it will do only resolution. Okay, so up to 1000 private DNS zone means we can link to up to 1000 private DNS zone to VNet. Okay, and if I am going to say that about the registration, up to 100 VNet can be linked to the same private DNS zone for the registration. Means up to 100. Okay. So I am mentioning here up to 100 VNet can be linked for the private DNS zone. Same private DNS zone. Okay. Let's test it. How to means register it. So I am going to private DNS zone, any of the private DNS zone. For example, I am going to here East US private DNS zone. So right now there is no virtual network. Let's see virtual network link, refresh. Okay, I am going to add. I am mentioning the name link1, selecting the subscription virtual network. I am going to across region, South Central US region. Now I am clicking on enable auto registration. Now click on OK. Likewise, I am going to private DNS zone. Now earlier I have created for the East US for the registration. Let me check the status first. It is creating. Okay, let's it be completed. Meanwhile, let's remind what we have discussed earlier. We have discussed that only uh, one DNS zone can be linked to the VNet for the registration, not multiple. And up to 100 VNet can be linked to same private DNS zone for registration. Okay, so we are testing it in the lab environment. Now it is, hopefully it is completed. Yes, so you can see it is link 1. Let me recheck again. Yes, it is enabled. Auto registration is enabled. Now virtual network link for another one. It is Canada Central, and I will try to link. One moment. Private DNS Zone. It is in Canada Central. Okay, so I am going to link it. Let me refresh. Add. I am mentioning the name link to now South Central US. The same virtual network I am going to try for the auto registration. Let's check. Meanwhile, let's discuss on another concept. Okay, so now, so another concept is if we are going to integrate our on-prem DNS to the Azure VNet. So this is our on-prem VNet, and we are going to link it to another Azure. Let me mention the name. It is on-premise DNS, and I am going to link it to virtual network, which is Azure Virtual Network. Okay, I want to link for the Azure Virtual Network. Okay, so it directly cannot be linked. For the connection, we need to do conditional forwarding to VNet. What we need to do? Conditional forwarding. Conditional forwarding to this Azure VNet, and Azure VNet should have DNS resolver. Then can only you can link this on-prem DNS to Azure VNet. So DNS resolver is required. Okay. So DNS resolve will resolve the IP, that is the internal IP is you know very well. What is the internal IP? 168.63.129.16. This is Azure DNS. So this is the way we can link on-prem DNS to Azure VNet. Now going back to portal, let's see if it is no. It is failed to create Azure virtual network link because it is saying one private DNS zone with auto registration enabled already. Okay, so we can understand that registration only with one private DNS zone only for the VNet. If I am going to link to another private DNS zone, then it only be resolution. So likewise, we understand how to register virtual network to private DNS zone and how to connect private DNS zone for the resolving. So it's all about today's session. Thanks all of you. Keep watching my video, like, subscribe and share. Thanks all of you.